Welcome to another episode of Grateful by Lady Law. As you can tell, we've made some changes here today to our set. We have 4 guests that have graced the set of Grateful by Lady Law, and I couldn't be more grateful for these individuals. They all hold a very special place in my heart, and that's because we are all pretty much connected because of the love we have for one special person, Walt Secord. This team of individuals have worked with Walt for many years. They've also been great friends with him. There's a lot of stories I know about all of these folks because Walt used to come home and tell me about everybody after work, and they had such good camaraderie at the workplace. They were also all have, really kept a strong bond since we lost Walt over 3 years ago. And so I wanted to interview them today just to get to know them because they're all huge people in my life, huge supporters, have made a huge impression to me. And then also because they all have Walt stories that I'd love my listeners to hear. So I'm going to have them kind of introduce themselves, just kind of tell us your name. They all work for Commonwealth Electric. And if you can just say your name and how long you've been with Commonwealth and how you know Walt, and then we'll kind of take it from there. So, you want to start?
Yeah, Scott Logan. I met Walt in '99. That's when I started my apprenticeship with the Union Hall, and I also started with Commonwealth at the same time. So, and that's where we met. We met in the apprenticeship program first year, and kind of after that, we just became really good friends and really never separated after that.
Yeah.
Was best friends from there on out. So
he used to say you were like a brother to him, and I think some people actually thought you were brothers. You looked so
people
much
did
alike.
think we were like
Big,
brother.
muscular guys.
Yeah, not so much anymore, but gotten a little bit older. But yeah, that's how we met.
All right. Thanks for being here.
Thank you.
My name is Daniel Gonzalez. I met Walt. I don't remember the exact year, but I started working a lot more with Walt in 2017, I believe, when we were doing the parking garage at HDR. That's when he came out and he started working for me when service was slow. But you always heard about Walt, like always throughout the apprenticeship. Everybody knew Scoot and Walt. And it was always Scoot and Walt. You heard the stories of working with him and how much fun it was. And then I actually got to see it in person at the parking garage. And then I actually went to go work for him at Facebook.
Awesome. Thank you.
I'm Michelle Taubenberger. I think I knew and worked with Walt the least, but it was just shy of 3 years.
And I think you guys worked together the closest, though.
Yes,
like
we did. I worked very
physically,
close with Walt every day. So this group of people also became my family, being out at Facebook, spending so much time with them. So that's how I know Walt.
Awesome. Thank you.
My name's Ralph Maynes. Been with Commonwealth 24 years. I've known Walt, I'm going to say maybe started 2006 maybe. And I actually met him through a buddy, John Harden, and my buddy Rob Freeman. And I know he liked to hunt, and I guess I got into bow hunting, and
Yeah.
we kind of used to go shoot together and stuff like that. So we have a lot of good adventures, man, Walt. He was a cool dude.
Walt was always excited to share bow hunting and fishing and anything like that with all the people that he loved. Like once he found out that you might be interested, he was all in and wanted to tell you about it, right?
Yep.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, thank you guys for coming here today. I just want this to be a conversation. Kind of, I want the listeners to know a little bit, about you guys on a personal level. If you want to share anything about your families, because over time, that's one thing that I've realized is family was hugely important to Walt, and it's also hugely important to all of you guys. So, if you want to go around and share just a little bit about your family, too, and then we can just kind of start getting into some Walt stories, whatever you guys want to share. So if we want to go back around again, if anybody wants to jump in first or whatever, just talking about their family.
I'll go.
Okay. I love it.
I'm originally from Montana. So when Walt found that out and found out I grew up hunting, he would forever ask me, when are we going elk hunting in Montana? Right. It was probably a daily question. When are we going elk hunting in Montana? But I have 4 boys, and my youngest would come out to the job site sometimes, and I brought a soccer net out. and Walt would play soccer with Lincoln. Just have like the greatest time in the job trailer with Lincoln. And Lincoln still says to this day, I miss Walt. I miss Walt. So, I mean, Walt had an impact whether you knew him for a long time or you just met him.
And
like,
that
people
yeah.
loved him.
And that just personifies what Walt was. He was a big kid, right? Like always, just a big kid looking for play. He just wanted to play. Life was fun. Yeah. That's awesome.
Yeah, well, I got one little boy. He's 4 years old. Actually, today's his birthday.
Oh, happy birthday!
Thank you.
Happy birthday.
And Christopher, he's my wife's oldest, but he's pretty much like my son now. And I just got married 5 years ago.
Yeah.
So
we were at the reception you had here.
Yeah, you guys went to the reception.
Had a really good time.
Yeah, those.
There's a lot of tequila, and Walt had a really good time.
Oh yeah. Before that, before he got there, he was asking, "How should I drink it?" And it was like a 30-minute conversation of how we were gonna take these drinks. And it was like he enjoyed it.
It turned into a lot more than just one, Danny.
Oh yeah, yes it did. Yeah. But yeah, no. Yeah, I grew up in California, and then I moved out to Nebraska in 2001. So I've been living here ever since. And yeah, we enjoyed talking about our kids.
Yeah.
And the one thing that I still remember a lot is when he would talk about Mav going frog hunting.
Yeah.
And how he would have to go and take Maddie to volleyball practice after work, and how he would sit in his truck thinking about where he was going to eat for dinner.
Dinner was always important to
Yeah, it was.
Yeah. So important that we've carried on that tradition.
Yep.
So we all meet probably about once every month or two with our significant others and go to places that Walt loved. And there's so many to choose from. Yeah. But we've kept his tradition of being a foodie alive. So, yeah.
Yeah, I used to do some bits to Walt. Well, you could eat, I'll tell you that.
Yes.
And you got the most expensive thing you could eat.
Especially if someone else is paying, right?
Right. Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I would bet on Walt anytime anybody thought they could out eat him.
Oh,
yeah.
Without a doubt.
Sure.
I would have made a lot of money.
I'm so sad that he passed away for so many reasons, but I'm very sad that he passed away before he could do the steak challenge in Texas at the Big Texan. Did he ever talk to anybody about that? Yeah. It was a 72-ounce steak and the potato and there's a shrimp cocktail and a roll and a salad, all you can eat. So we went there. I told him about it, and he's like, I want to check this out. So we go to the Big Texan, and it's like this old-timey saloon, but where you get to eat the steak is a raised table, which, I mean, that was even more appealing to Walt, that he got to have all this attention. And so he was like, next time we come down, I'm going to do that. So I'm just so disappointed that he didn't get to do that. Yeah.
I think you would have done pretty good.
Oh, yeah.
He would have been in his element.
Yes.
Just loving every minute.
Soaking up the attention. And
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, tell us about you guys' family.
Me, I'm a simple Midwestern kid. I mean, grew up in Iowa. That's where my family's from. I have 2 kids. They're all grown. I have a grandchild now, which everybody knows. But yeah, I went to school here, went to electrical school. Really haven't moved out of Council Bluffs.
Yeah.
It's kind of my home, and I don't ever plan on leaving.
You're an Iowa fan?
I am a Hawkeye fan.
So you have tolerated Walt's Husker.
Oh yeah, we've had our conversations.
Okay, so question for you: have you worn the T-shirt from last year's golf scramble?
Is that the Husker one?
No, it's the Walt.
I'll tell you what, I haven't worn that particular shirt because it does represent Nebraska colors.
Yeah, for the viewers, it's black with red trim on it and a helmet that is a Walt helmet, not a Huskers helmet. Right. But I could,
And I'm hoping that he will forgive me for that. But I have wore the hat.
Okay.
So right. I have wore the hat a lot, which is close enough, but so I'll give him that.
Yeah.
But,
and then you have kids, right?
2. Yeah. 28 and a 27-year-old.
And you're a grandpa, right?
Grandpa, she's 11 months yesterday. So we've got a 1-year-old birthday coming up. Yeah.
That's incredible.
She's something else.
She's cute as can be.
Wow, she is cute. She looks expensive. Because she's probably going to get whatever she wants. Yeah. So. Yeah.
What about you, Ralph?
Well, me, I'm from New Mexico.
Right. That's our bond, right? Like, you're not far from, you grew up not far from where I was
from
raised.
The southwest part of New Mexico. I moved here in 2000. In 2000, I got 26 here in Nebraska. I met my wife out here. We got 4 kids, 3 girls and 1 boy. My daughter, we're expecting our first grandkid. We know what it is, but can't tell nobody. Sorry, guys.
Ooh, you can't keep a secret. I'm impressed.
Yeah. So I'll tell you guys off air.
Okay.
We'll see you later. We'll talk later.
I come from a big family. I had 5 brothers, 2 sisters. Last year was pretty rough for me.
Yeah.
We went through a lot, losing the father-in-law and my dad and my brother.
Yeah.
You
Did it
know,
really
so
hard.
yeah. But I'm a big Nebraska guy now. I guess I'm gonna retire here and hopefully go back home,
Right.
but to northern New Mexico. I think while I was up there hunting up in Chama
Mm-hmm.
on that, I actually into my rangefinder when he was all excited.
Yeah.
I remember.
Yeah. So you guys went up to Chama to go.
I did. I
Yeah.
think not me.
Me and Walt.
Scott,
did.
went to
Yep.
Chama to go elk hunting, and it was the first time Walt had gone elk hunting. And he was militant in his training for the elk hunting, running hill, because he knew it was going to be different than sitting in a stand.
It's one of the most intense
Right.
things you'll ever do physically. Yes.
Yeah.
You-
And then, go ahead.
A good memory of me was when he would pull into the job site. He'd put his bugle up, Walt here.
Yes. Yes.
So he was pretty excited. It was pretty fun. He was
Yeah.
a one heck of a guy.
Yeah, he was.
I was really fortunate.
We
to
have good
was a kid.
videos with him doing those.
Yeah.
Those calls.
Yeah.
You sat
while he
across the office
practiced.
from him, right?
Yeah.
All the way across the office.
Yeah.
Would you just like shut your door and be like, "I'm trying to work here, Walt"?
Constantly.
Oh yeah.
He would just giggle. I would be like, Walt, on a meeting or whatever. And he would just giggle.
Yeah,
and
it was this big
laugh.
old elk bugle that he would then just like play, and it's just this kind of obnoxious noise.
Yeah.
But I would be doing dishes, and he'd sneak up behind me and then blow it. And I mean, I jump out of my skin, and I said, that thing is banned from the house. So then at like 6 o'clock in the morning, he'd be out on the deck with all our neighbors doing this elk. And he's like, they'll just think it's an elk. I'm like, there's no elk around.
Well, you could have gone to the safari. There is out there. You could have practiced.
Yeah, that's
there.
true. He should have to
That's
see if
funny.
I
Yeah.
think he liked that just as much as you did hunting.
Oh,
Just
yeah.
the blowing that thing.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I mean, you guys would see it at nighttime. Like we were at camp, and everyone, we'd eat, and then everyone's getting ready for bed. Walt would hear one elk in the background, and it was on. There, he had to talk to him for the next hour. Back and forth, back and forth. Then he'd come running over. Did you hear that? Scoop, come here. Check this out. I got one all wound up. Dude, it's dark. Can't kill him in the dark.
That's right.
Everything's a game, though.
Oh,
you
yeah.
know, life
Yeah.
is one game. When he was on that trip, though, he ended up shooting an elk, right?
Yeah, we never did recover it, but
Yeah. Talk about a man disappointed.
Oh.
Oh my goodness.
Oh, yeah.
I was
Oh.
just as disappointed. I think
Yeah.
the whole group was,
Yeah.
because, it's kind of one of those things. If anybody gets one, good for the guy that got it. But
Yeah.
we kind of had this agreement that we're all going to share the meat.
Yeah.
The success rate's very difficult shooting them with your bow. And no, I was looking forward to elk steaks for sure.
Yeah.
So we were all just as disappointed.
But he always was, he wanted to go back. So if you go back and you get an elk, make sure that, you do it for
Yeah.
him.
Yeah, I got to go back.
Definitely.
There's a lot of hunting. A lot.
Well, I know there's so many Walt stories, and I don't really know how to organize this correctly. So, I mean, does anybody have a story that they can think of that they want to talk about right off the bat?
Well, stay on topic with that of the hunting trip.
Yeah.
When our buddy Clint from 3 brought in the, what's it called?
Gators?
The gators
Yeah.
for,
Yeah.
he put those things on that day, and I don't think he took them off for the rest of the day
What are gators?
at work.
Let's let the audience know what those are.
They're little slip-ons, I think, for
Rattlesnakes.
rattlesnakes.
They're to
Okay.
protect you from, that and walking through weeds and getting stickers. But a lot of times they call them, they're like for snake bites and stuff like that.
They
Are
look
they
like a
boots
male
or-
form of leg warmers.
Okay. Oh,
Yeah, something like
okay.
that.
That's a great,
That's a good way to put it.
And Walt put him on and kept him on the whole
Oh,
day.
the whole day at
he
work.
loved it.
It did. I mean,
Guess
I
how many
think it
times
was,
we wore them when we were hunting?
Zero.
Zero.
Yeah.
It's probably too hot.
We never wore them the whole time. I had some too, and we never really needed them.
but that picture we took of him when he put them on, he's so proud
Mm.
of
We might
them.
have to find that and put it on this podcast.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
For
people
sure, the
could
golf
see, but
tournament this year.
Yeah.
like even
Oh,
the
yeah.
pose he had with those, it was just like standing up.
Oh, everything
Yeah.
was a pose.
So
Yeah.
proud of himself.
Oh yeah.
Chest out.
That one and another one that really that cracks me up all the time is we were working at 6 a.m. and it was during hunting season, and he sends a text message at 5:30, 5:15.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, I just remembered I have a doctor's appointment. I'm going to be in late. Like, okay. You're like, well, why are you up so early if you have a doctor's appointment? That was stuck in the back of my head. And 10:30 in the morning rolls up and I'm walking out of the building and he's pulling up in his truck. And I'm like, I look over on the passenger side and I see his hunting gear. And I'm like, how's hunting, Walt? And he was like, no, I think I asked him how was the doctor.
Yeah.
He's like, good. Oh, everything is fine. 100%. Everything is good. I'm good. I'm like, okay. Like, so how was hunting? And then he's like, who told you? I'm like, your hunting gear's in the passenger seat, Walt.
Busted.
Weird.
Yeah.
Weird.
Yeah.
So what I think what he did is he left early to go to work. So you think he was going to work. And then he texted us, let us know that, give us an excuse that he was going to the doctor. So
I am sure that's what happened. He covered his bases there.
He always thought he was slick, but you can figure him out pretty
Which
easily.
reminds
he gave
me,
himself away because he would say something that's not true and he'd immediately be smiling.
Yeah.
Like he'd be immediately smiling.
Yeah.
And just between you and me.
Well, that was his favorite.
Everything was a secret, right?
Yeah. But then he'd tell the next person and the next person. So you knew when he said that 10 other people have already heard and then 10 more will also.
One of my things that in the morning, before break, he would say, color it. It's already new. It's burrito time.
It's burrito time.
That's what he used to say right now.
Yeah.
Color it or something like that. He would say.
Yeah.
That would mean meet at the trailer. We're going to get some burritos.
Yeah. So at the Facebook job site, like that is an amazing job site for people that don't realize how, and it's outside of Springfield and there's all these huge data centers that they were building. He was so proud to be working there and also he understood how lucky he was to be working there because between Turner and Meta, they all, treated employees pretty darn good. They'd have food trucks there. And one of them was, what was it? The churro truck. Yes. He loved the churro truck.
Yeah, he loved his Mexican food. I was really surprised with him. He did really love Mexican food.
That
was one of his favorites.
You guys ever eat Nettie's?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Do you remember, we ever had their enchilada?
Yeah.
It is like the biggest enchilada. I mean, this thing, one enchilada is good, right? Two, you're miserable.
Right.
And we went to lunch one day and obviously we were both getting the beef enchiladas. It was a no-brainer. And we eat and he orders another one. And I'm already like, I'm miserable. I go, he goes, oh, don't worry, kid. I'm getting this for later. This is for dinner tonight. And the minute it hit the table, 5 minutes later, it was completely gone.
Yeah.
And we had to go back to work. It was a very slow, unsuccessful afternoon. It's amazing.
He just couldn't say no to food. No. Not at all. No? Whenever we'd bring home Nettie's was his favorite. And when we'd bring it home, then he would at night go and eat everybody's leftovers. So then his kids would be so upset that he ate all the leftovers.
That's what he did too. Yeah. When him and I and Ralph and Danny would go out to lunch, he would wait for me to order because he knows I would never eat all my food. And so he would order less food because he knew he was going to get all my food because I wasn't going to eat all it. Except for the one day.
Yes. You broke his heart.
I broke his heart because I took my leftovers home for one of my kids and he was like, well, I would have ordered more food.
Yeah. His face was hilarious. Yeah. Just seeing
he was upset.
What? What do you mean you're going to take him?
Is when he met you, he talked about, and it's like two peas in a pod because he honestly talked about
how much I could eat.
You were an eater. He talked about all the time. He goes, oh, you can't. He goes, she orders this giant salad for dinner. He goes, it's like a dinner salad. It's not like it's one you'd have just by itself. He goes, and then I'm thinking, oh, that's all she's getting,
Like, oh, look at her being.
And then he said, you order a normal meal. He's like, that's when you found her, man. Yeah. She's the one. But I also, Carrie, obviously my girlfriend, she's just as big of an eater. Yeah. I mean, she's a foodie like no other.
We like delicious food.
That's how if she ever gets mad at me, all I have to do is bring her food.
Yeah.
I'm not kidding you. It works every time.
That's good. That's good. I remember the day that we got the news that Nettie's burned down. And it was almost like he lost a family member.
Right. He was upset.
And he was just like, they're going to rebuild. They have to rebuild. He was very devastated.
Me and Dan and him were actually there, I think 2 days before it.
Yeah. On that Wednesday. I think it burned down on
and that's
Friday.
what I kept saying is like, I'm so glad I went with the guys to, to Nettie's 2 days before. Like,
yeah.
And I think he wished he would have ordered more. The other Mexican food restaurant that I always think of with him is the one in Plattsmouth.
Yeah.
He was a regular to the point where they gave him a shirt to wear.
They knew him by name.
Yeah. He would wear that shirt only around the house, thank goodness, because it was like a small and he's like a double XL.
It's just La Fiesta.
La Fiesta, yeah.
It was a size small.
It was like a size small. It was the only, and they, around his arms.
Yeah.
But I mean, I found out so much after he passed away, bless his heart, about how he would go there. Sometimes he'd be late from work, but it was just because he would go there first. And then they always knew when I wasn't there, they'd give him shots of tequila. But when I was there, he said, if she's here, don't give me the shots.
Right.
Yeah.
That one bar too there in Plattsmouth.
The
tenderloin,
the country bar, the good old country bar.
We always talked about the tenderloin there.
We still eat it. We still eat country bar all the time.
Oh,
it's right by our job.
Oh, yeah, it is.
We just had it last Friday.
A bunch of his real good friends are still there. That are regulars there, like Dallas and Whiskers and like some of those guys. He'd go and he'd know all of them. Yeah. One of the stories that I think is hilarious, and we probably should talk about this whole event because I think it really is a lot of the Walt, is the barbecue competition out at Facebook. And then I think Michelle knows what story I'm talking about what team he's going to be on.
Oh,
and
it's tragic.
The situations he gets himself
I'm still upset about that.
Let it go, man.
So who wants to explain what the barbecue competition is out there at Meta?
We have a champion here. He could.
Ooh.
We do have a champion.
We have a winner here.
Well, you guys were part of the team. You finally came to the right side of things. And what happened? What happened?
We won.
We won. How'd you do the year before?
We didn't win.
This thing is an event. So it is how many teams usually?
Oh, there's quite a bit.
All the contractors.
All the contractors. They bring in RVs.
15 to 20 teams.
They bring in all of their big smokers and all, like all of these things. Coolers full of everything you can imagine. More meat than anyone should ever eat, probably. Like, it's insane.
Yeah, it's a really good time.
Yeah. And then they have like a whole stage and they have, concerts put, and then there's like, what else is there? Giveaways. There's a cornhole tournament. There's because it's family friendly too. But the guys stay overnight and the women stay overnight to cook. And I mean, it's very important to them.
Yeah, we get it all ready for the guys for the next day for their lunch. And everybody pretty much shares with everybody. They go around everybody's little tables and pick whatever they want.
Yeah. So it's
pretty exhausting, because you got to prep it the day before on Thursday. There's a little bit of drinking involved, But, it was a really good time. I really enjoyed the time I was out there. I mean, it was a fun time. You could stay up the latest. And I think the first time I did it with Walt, I mean, we went to sleep.
It's like
I think I slept on the chair outside.
Didn't you guys like oversleep and overcook your food too?
No, that was
one guy.
That was Turner guy.
Yeah, we're not going to mention only.
Was that guy a teammate of yours?
No, he was.
He was part of Turner.
He was part of the Turner
part
team.
Of the F-16 team.
Well,
it's okay to say.
Be nice.
It's okay. As long as we get that out.
Yes, he was. I hope you're happy. No, that was a really good time. That was fun.
Yeah, it is. So it was a lot going on there.
His chicken didn't make it though. That was probably the only thing that made it through.
But there was always who's going to be on whose team, right? Like,
no, there wasn't always. It was one particular year.
Okay, what happened, Michelle?
And man, did Walt struggle. We talked about it multiple times a day because he just couldn't.
He didn't know what to do, right?
He wanted to be on the F-16 team.
Yeah.
And Turner wanted us to be on a team.
And what is the F-16 for listeners?
Well, it's
It was a job.
Clean, friendly
Yeah.
side of Facebook. There's a new build side and then the side that's already been built, the retrofit side.
Okay.
We worked on the retrofit side. Scoot worked on the new build side.
Okay.
So he wanted to be on the F-16 team. And then Scoot told him should be on his team. And the crisis that went
and
on.
so when Scoot asked him to be on his team, then he committed to Scoot as well.
Oh,
Right.
absolutely
committed. He committed to both teams.
Right.
But I would hear multiple times say, Michelle, I want to be on our team on F-16, but now I've told Scoot that I'd be on his team.
But I'm sure he's telling Scoot, I want to be on your team, but I told them, you know what I mean? Yeah.
Absolutely was what he was saying.
Yeah.
He guilt-tripped me into believing he had to be on your team.
He was back and forth.
He's telling everybody what they want to hear and was like, oh gosh, I got myself in a situation.
And I'd say, well, you're just going to have to, if you want to be on F-16, just tell Scoot. Oh God, I don't know. I'm too stressed out, Michelle. This is stressing me out. Yeah, it was a dilemma for sure.
Yeah.
But still, it was fun. We had fun with it.
Yeah.
That's so fun. It's such a Walt thing. I'll just never forget going out there and him saying, oh, we got to get more beer. We got to get more beer. Like, we're running out of beer, telling all the other guys this or whatever.
Very, very important.
Yeah. But then I'm like, wait a minute, like behind his cooker underneath, he had like this little like piece of fabric. And I saw that he had hidden a 30-pack back there. And I said, but what about that? And he's like, stop it, Mandy.
That's
Stop it.
emergency.
He's like, you're going to have to go home if you're going to do things like
I'm sending you straight home. You keep it up.
Don't reveal my...
That's exactly. Well,
So
very good at,
that one,
very
that
good.
30 pack we had back there because he had his Yeti cooler full. And I think there was somebody came over. I don't remember who went there like, hey man, can I have a beer? He's like, yeah, here's a beer. Grab it. Then that person came and brought like 5 or 6 multiple times throughout the night. So his stash was getting lower and lower. So he's like, we need another one. And we just got to hide it back there.
He's feeling uncomfortable. It was getting low.
Yeah, it was. But I'm pretty sure that night we had a couple bottles of tequila with us too.
Yeah.
So
I think everyone was fine. Like,
yeah,
there was plenty.
Yeah, they weren't running out.
Nope.
One of the other stories I think about a lot, and I mean, you guys chime in with whatever, but is him falling in your office, right? Wasn't that didn't that happen?
It happened. It happened. There's a picture on my wall in my office to prove that it happened. But Danny and Ralph were out on site. Him and I were on a Turner meeting, on the scheduling meeting. And he wasn't muted. We were on video.
Oh, I didn't realize this.
Yeah. And he went to go backwards and he caught something and his chair just dumped backwards. And we were both instantly laughing so hard, tears coming, and I couldn't pull him up off the floor.
So he's all the way back,
He's
legs
all the way
flailing
back,
in the air.
legs straight up in the air. I'm trying to mute the meeting. I'm trying to get the camera turned off. We're both dying laughing. And he said, you have to promise to not tell Danny and Ralph about this because I will never hear the end of it if you tell. He's like, promise me right now you're not going to tell. I said, I won't tell. And I don't know if he ever ratted out himself.
He always ratted
did.
Yeah.
He did.
Normally he would, but it was
Danny,
hysterical.
Guess what happened to me?
Yeah. Between you and me.
Yeah, between you and me, guess what happened to me? And he would always tell us.
Oh.
Always. Even though he didn't want her to tell us, he would always tell us.
Plus you have a picture, which is
that
was great.
And I told him, I said, wait, don't move. I have to get a picture before we get you up off the floor. But I think he was on the floor for a good 5 minutes because we were laughing so hard and I couldn't pull him up. So it was hilarious. I'll never forget that. I will never forget.
Are there any other, I mean, and if there's not, that's totally fine, but is there any other job site stories you can think of?
Oh, we have lots.
Yeah.
We got to realize we were together probably 20 some years throughout our apprenticeship. And then we continued to work together a lot, both went into service. One of my best job site stories would probably be we're working down at the parking garage downtown.
Yeah.
And he needs some help. So I'd been down there for a couple of weeks just helping him. And we decided one day we figured we'd see who's stronger. We decided
Imagine.
to, in the middle of a parking garage that we're trying to build, belts dropped, literally. Tool belts came off, hit the floor, and then we just locked up like a couple lions. And we were rolling around this floor, rolling this way. We get over next to what they call a tripod, and he gets some weird move on me, and he's got like me wrapped around the tripod, and my head's here, and we're like in a stalemate, but we're like locked up. And I'm like, all right. I go, well, we can't do anything. So we finally call stalemate. We both get up. We literally brush ourselves off, and we look up, and our project manager is walking around the corner. And he's like, hey, fellas, what's going on? Getting a lot of stuff done today? Like, oh, yeah, boss, check this out. We just hung this light over here. And so, yeah, that was probably a close call. But we both looked at each other after it was all done, and I was like, what just happened? That was
big kids, I swear.
Yeah, we were both very, as much as we worked together, we were still very bullheaded.
Mm-hmm.
He liked to do things his way. We've been doing it the same amount of time, but we always had fun.
Yeah.
That's one thing we always did. He always made the job super, super fun. Guy was just so goofy and funny. He had his mannerisms, and everybody knew his little,
yeah.
so
how you doing, kid? No, yeah,
how you doing, kid? He'd look at something after he'd finish it, and he'd go, nobody's around. He'd look at it and go, just like put his little mark on it. So he was a character, that's for sure.
Yeah. Yeah, he was. One of the other things that, when he wasn't playing at work, he was playing out in the great outdoors. He was such a huge outdoorsman. He'd get up at 5 a.m. and just go, and during hunting season, it would be even earlier. And I'm still jealous to this day. Like, I just can't do that. I can't just hop out of bed and be happy and just be such a good, morning person, but he always was. And so I know that a lot of the, stories people have about him and so much of his life was the hunting and the fishing. Like, and he grew up, what I remember him telling me is, just that his childhood is what cultivated that. He grew up with his dad and a whole bunch of guys that were down by the river, showing him how to fish and then also hunting. And he remembers hunting so much of the land, down by the Missouri River, when you could just hunt it,
Right.
or maybe not, because I do think he has, a couple of trespass charges. But,
Yep, sounds like him.
yeah, that's Walt. But he just loved to hunt, and he loved to, share that with people. Do you guys have any hunting stories you want to share?
Well, I
You guys
probably hunted the most with him and
Yeah.
around him and fishing. And, you knew Walt, like, a lot of people didn't know he wore glasses or he had bad eyes.
Oh, yeah.
So a lot of people don't know that. But when he hunted was the only time you ever see him wear glasses.
Mhm.
So anytime you ever take he liked his selfies, obviously.
Oh, yeah.
You'd see him take a picture in the tree, and he always had his glasses on. And so anyways, we always made fun of him for having bad eyes and it always had to do with the size of deer he shot, and that was our biggest joke. And his buddy Dan just talked about it all the time. He goes, man, Walt, I really think his eyes are really bad, because he'd call you up and say, oh, I shot a monster, or I missed a monster, or we can't find a monster, and we'd always, we always had so many trail cameras, and we'd ask him, which one was it, but he finally called me one night, and he goes, God, he's so excited. He goes, this is it. It's the Boone and Crockett. This thing's a monster, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, oh, I'm all excited. And he goes, you can help me. And I'm like, yeah, I'll be right there. Where you at? And kind of tells me the location. I go, all right, give me 20, 30 minutes to get there. He goes, all right, well, I'm going to start tracking him. And then I don't hear from him. And I finally get a phone call. I haven't even quite made it there yet. And I go, did you find him? And he said, yeah, I found him. And I'm like, what's up?
There's a change in his tone.
He goes, man, Scoot, I'm not kidding you. He goes, I don't know what happened. He goes, it must have been the way I was looking at him. And, and I'm like, how big was he? He goes, he's got a lot of points and, beating around the bush. And I finally go, is it a nerd? Because that's what we call small bucks.
Yeah.
He goes, I mean, we could say a nerd, maybe. And I go, do you still need help? And he goes, he's kind of small. He goes, I was able to get him drugged most of the way out. He goes, you can help me the last 100 feet. And I showed up and I was like, dude, you went from Boone and Crockett to a 120-inch deer? He goes, I don't know. He goes, it was just the angle. push and this and that.
He just gets so excited. Yeah.
Got so, I mean, this was it. So he's done that, not just with me. He did it with another deer with Dan, and said he shot him, did the same thing. It was a big one, and I never could get a picture out of him, but Dan did. And Dan finally sent it to me on the side, and he goes, "Here's Walt's monster." And I was like, no way. This thing was like this big. And I go, what is, he goes, he's blind. I'm telling you, he is blind. So I go, all right, we got to check the prescription on his glasses because he might need new ones.
That is the truth. I have one picture, which I hope we can add to this podcast of him with those glasses on. And that's the only one. And so many other pictures of him. So.
I never saw him with glasses.
I'm telling you,
a couple of times.
A lot of people didn't know. He would never. Did he work? He didn't wear contacts, did he?
No, that's which makes me wonder. Like, what did he really see?
Right.
And I think they were legit prescription glasses.
Oh,
right?
They were. Yeah.
I was like, what do you do the rest of the time? It was, it's just, if anything was most important, is like he didn't care if he could read that piece of paper, but at least he had to see what kind of deer was coming.
Yeah.
Obviously, it still didn't work. I mean, he did shoot a lot of nice deer, so I can't. But
I would say, he's got some big ones.
Oh, yeah.
It's always funny.
And then fishing was also a really big deal.
Oh, gosh. Yeah.
So he walleye fish in the spring and summer, and fall sometimes, but then ice fishing too was a big passion of his.
Did lots of that, lots and lots and lots and lots of fishing.
Yeah.
Very determined. I mean, he was. His Merritt trips, I mean, what dedication? Yeah,
so Merritt's about 5.5, 6 hours from here. And so his dad, he grew up with his dad they'd drive to Merritt, and he'd learned all of the great places to hunt or to fish off the bank. And so one of the things, I have so many interesting Merritt stories, but we were driving out there for the first time, and we hadn't been dating very long, and it was very special to him to be going out there and everything. He's like, but here's the deal, Mandy, you can't take pictures of where we're fishing, and you can't tell anybody where these honey holes are. He'd call them the honey holes. And so
those honey holes are where everybody else fished.
I know, right?
You can tell me now.
You're right, yeah. He had a lot of luck off of the dam at Merritt. I mean, he really did. And I'll never forget when we first started dating, I went into his apartment, saw his closet, and I was like, oh my gosh, I don't know if we can be together, because it was the biggest disaster. And he'd only lived in this apartment for like 2 weeks. And I was just like, you are a slob, like next level slob. Like, this is insane. So then he invites me to go to Merritt with him. And I was like, okay, so we go to Merritt, and he, first of all, like, we get to this cabin that he says is a really nice cabin, and it was not. And I thought, and we unpack everything, and then he's like, but he didn't unpack his like fishing stuff. And I was like, well, that's going to get stolen. Like, aren't you, this is kind of a scary area. Like, aren't you afraid that, he's like, oh, no. Well, like, we're going to go fish tonight. And I'm sitting there thinking, oh, I'm going to be laying out on the lake, while he's fishing during the day. And he's like, no, we walleye fish at night. And I was like, we do. And so I was like, okay, fine, I'll go with you, because I don't want to be murdered being left here at the cabin. So I go with him, and he goes and he's so like excited and proud of himself. And so he goes to the bank, and he's got, and now I realized quickly that the only reason I was there was so he could do 2 more rods. I was just like a placeholder. So he has like these coil things that he puts, and I don't know anything about fishing at this point. And so he puts the rods in all of them. So he has 4 rods set up, and he has, yeah, he does all this intricate knotting of all these different colored things, and I have to pick which color. Like, I know what color a fish wants, and like, oh, that's going to be the magic color. And I say, oh, well, what about purple? Well, I think they like green. Okay, I'll do green. See, there you go. You picked the right one. Right, exactly. And so then he sets all this up, and it's like the most organized thing. And his tackle boxes are like super like color coordinated, and like and I'm sitting back watching all this unfold, and then he has all 4 of these rods set up, and they're, has bells on them so that, so he can be on, listen if a fish takes a bite or whatever. And I look at him, and he's like, what do you think? And I said, I think you can organize your closet.
Right.
That's what I think. I have just learned that you have
passion.
Exactly.
Passion, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And he was very disappointed with that answer.
Sure.
So then, of course, the bell goes off, and he's like, okay, go get it. So I go get it. And I'm like battling this fish, and it comes in and he's like and I did nothing. I like reel it a little bit, but then it's so like strong that he's actually helping me do it. But then I get the fish and it's one that it's like so long or whatever that, what is it called? Where
Master angler?
Yeah, it was a master angler. And I did nothing for it. And he's like, oh my gosh, and like he gave me all the credit. And that's just who he was.
Yeah.
Like he was just so excited for people to experience such an exciting moment that he just was like, no, you did this. And I'm like, I didn't do anything.
He picked the color of the minnow.
Right, exactly. After he told me which one to, like, so that, I mean, I just learned a lot from him in that situation. Not only that he could organize, but also just what a generous person he was and how he just wanted to share his passion with everybody. Right. It was a great experience.
Oh yeah. He, I don't know what he liked better, walleye fishing or hunting. I think hunting might take the slide on it, but he was, I mean, walleye is fun. And I mean, when it's business, you know, it's fun, but it's also, to him, it is a business. He's after a certain one. He wanted a certain size, which I was the same way. But out of all the times that we went, it was, I'm not saying he was competitive, but he was competitive. He was a secret competitor. He was in good company. So were you. So when it came to us, and it got better over times, but I think that one of the first times we ever went fishing together, I used to be a big bass fisherman. So this was early when we were young. We were still in our apprenticeship. We went on a bass fishing trip up to Blue Lake, and it was my boat, and I was in the front of the boat. I was driving, and I was counting fish as I was catching them. And I think it's 7-2 now, Walt? And he just looks at me and goes, dude, we could just come out and have fun. We don't have to talk about how many fish we're catching. He goes, why don't we just have fun? He's like, why are you always going to be competitive about it? And that's what buddies do. When do you not do? I go, that's a rule, isn't it?
When he's not winning, though.
Oh, no, he did not like the fact that he only had 2. And then I always, they always give me heck because I was always in the front of the boat driving. I said, you know how you get in the front of the boat, Walt? You buy a boat.
Which he did. He eventually did. And he loved that boat.
Oh I know. He was so proud. I remember we were both, like, I got mine and then he wanted to get his, and he wanted his Lund. He had to have one. Yeah. I was this close to getting a Lund when I bought mine a couple years earlier, and I lost it. I think somebody else outbid me on it, ended up buying it underneath me, so I ended up getting my other one. And the only reason I bought that boat, it was 2020, and our trip that we always took to Minnesota, you remember this? Got canceled.
Yeah.
And we were like, well, what are we going to do? Like, that was our one trip. So I told him, I said, you know what we're going to do? I said, I'm going to buy a boat. And so I ended up buying a boat. And then that year, I think we went out. It's when we started fishing McConaughey. And we had a blast. So actually, we caught a ton of fish that year. That year, he whooped my butt. I think he caught like 10 to my 2. Or 10 to my 1. And I don't even know if I caught a walleye. I think I caught a striper, and we had a rule though, but we always split the fish up. And I will tell you, he did say the one thing. He goes, I know. He goes, sometimes it's your year, sometimes it's mine. He's like, but this year it was mine. But I did get him. I got him back the following year. And and I don't know if I told you that story where I'm catching all the fish and he's netting them. He loved to net. He thought netting was a big deal. Like, you got to be a good.
But you can't screw it up though.
If you screw it up,
a lot of pressure netting.
So I'd caught 4 master anglers already, like a 28 and a 29 and another one. And he finally caught that last one. And he looked at me. He goes, Scoot, I love nothing more than catching your fish or netting your fish for you. He goes, but boy, you got to let me catch one at least. You got to let me catch one. And I go. So what he would start doing was putting his fishing pole over on my side of the boat.
He knew where they were coming from.
He was sneaky about it because I was always driving and trolling. I'd look back, see this pole like way over here right next to my side of the boat. And he would just laugh it off. What, kid? They're all on your side, kid.
There's 2 stories that I thought of that were probably better told by you guys. And one of them is the story of me coming out to his boat when he wasn't expecting it at Prairie Queen. Remember that?
That was hilarious.
Yeah, tell us, the listeners that.
So it was after he got his boat and he was to take it out. So it was after work, and he was supposed to be drinking around this time.
Yeah. Because of his heart problem.
Yeah. And one thing he hated was you going to the doctor with him.
Yeah.
He hated that. So
Because
anyway.
he knew that I'd tell the doctor what was really going on.
Yep.
Yeah. And that you would hear the doctor tell him that he couldn't drink.
Right. Exactly.
So he goes to Prairie Queen and he buys his 6-pack of Tall Boys. And he's out there fishing, drinking. And he said, and then about an hour in, I get a phone call and it's Mandy and she wants me to pick her up. So he's like, he was so disappointed that you showed up because he couldn't drink anymore.
Like, it's all good.
Yeah. So on his way to pick you up, he put his 6-pack of Tall Boys in the live well.
And I hadn't been really on the boat. Like, I didn't know anything about the boat. So.
Yeah. And so he said that you got on the boat and you're like, oh, what is this? Like, oh, what is this?
Yeah.
And you opened the live well where he had his beer.
Right.
Yeah. And then, so he said, he's like, oh, they must have been left in there. Like, Walt, they're still cold.
Yeah, I'm not done. Right.
He always blamed Scoot for some things.
Yeah.
When
Oh, yeah.
go hunting.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
He come home
never
never tell stories.
That reminds me of the next story. And it was the one that you actually told at his celebration of life that I got a different version from you. Can you tell the listeners that story?
That's the Merritt one where we, Merritt, once again, walleye fishing all night long. We got to be morning time, so we went and grabbed a campground, threw the tent up, and we were going to crash. We're going to sleep for a couple hours, and it got hot. So about noon, I wake up, and it is so hot in the tent, and Walt's not there. So I'm like, hey, where did Walt go? So I kind of, I get up, I kind of get dressed, and poke my head out, and I look over, and Walt is in I say nothing but skivvies. I mean, he is in his underwear, sprawled out across the picnic table, and I go, what the? And the campground's like filling up, like people are showing up, and we have a family right next to us eating lunch, and I'm looking over at him, I'm looking at Walt like, hey, I'm trying to be discreet about it. Walt, wake up. He wakes up, and I go, people showing up. I said, you're in your underwear. He goes, what? Real loud. You know how wild.
Yeah.
Jumps up, looks over at the neighbors, says hi, and goes into the tent. And I'm just like, that was Walt. I'm telling you, that guy, there was embarrassment.
But was that Walt? Because when he came home, which I believe your version.
Underwear?
Yeah, when he's like, like one of the first stories he's telling, you'll never forget. You will never believe what Scoot did. He was in his underwear in front of his family. And I'm like, I don't know why he wanted to tell the story. He knew it was entertaining, but he couldn't be the bad guy in it. So he had to blame it on Scoot. And I'm like, God, that Scoot, you can't take him anywhere. Like, oh my God. It's because he's from Iowa.
Oh, it was me always smoking.
It was you.
The only time I ever smoked is the time we did go ice fishing. I smoked a cigar.
Yeah.
And he said that thing was
oh, yeah.
That cigar smoke's pretty strong.
Yeah.
I even smelled it the next time I went over there.
When Mandy catches him, when the stuff smells like smoke, when he comes home, it was, oh, yeah, Scoot was smoking in there.
He said it. I think he was putting all his clothes in the wash. You're like, oh, why you?
Yeah, he runs home real fast and puts everything in the wash.
So something's all right. What's fish?
Yeah. I'm like, I'll never forget the first time he got the ice fishing hut, and then he went with Clint to it was some competition or something anyway. So they come back, and then like a week passes, or maybe even more. And I'm like, something stinks in our garage. So I open up the whole hut all by myself, and in there is hot dogs with maggots.
Oh.
And I was livid. And of course that Clint. he just trashed that thing. Like, yeah.
No, it was just.
I did. Oh, yeah. I was just like, come on. I said, you have till the end of the day to clean this out. You need to bleach it out like this. And you just bought this thing.
Right.
Yeah. Totally forgot. Yeah. Hilarious. All right. So one of the stories that I thought about when we were talking about how Walt would tell you not to share a story with anybody. And so I was really good about not sharing the story with anybody until people started telling me the story back. Was the time that we went to his favorite restaurant, the Mexican food restaurant in Plattsmouth, La Fiesta. And he loved chorizo. I mean, like, loved it. Like, I really think he wished he had been Mexican because he loved Mexican food so much, and he loved chorizo. So they had the chorizo queso, and it comes out, and it's like white cheese queso with like chorizo on it, but like literally you can see the grease just on it. And I'm like, well, I don't think I'm going to eat that. And he's like, okay. Very not sad about that because he just ate the whole thing himself, plus his fajitas and plus everything else. So we get in my car.
And you guys are still kind of new at dating, right?
Yeah, we're kind of new at dating. Yeah. So we get, they all know where the story's going. We get in my car and he's sitting in the passenger seat, and all of a sudden he gets quiet, and then all of a sudden it smells really bad. And I'm like, oh my goodness. I go, roll down the window. Like, when you are going to pass gas, you need to roll down the window, Walt. And he's like, I didn't just pass gas. And I was like, what just happened? And he's like, we need to go to a gas station. And I said, okay, there's one right across. He goes, ooh, not that gas station, because it is a really gross. And I'm like, you just pooped in my car. I don't think you can pick which gas station you go to.
Why not go back inside?
So I do. I'm like, well, what's done is done. So then we go to this other gas station that's a little bit better. And he looks at me and like, so like scared. And I'm like, what? And he goes, how am I going to get in there? And I'm like, what? And he goes, I have a poop streak, I'm sure. And I'm like, oh my gosh. So I like look in my back seat, and I went to Target. So I took the stuff that I'd bought out of my Target, and he put the Target bag around his bottom, and he walks into the gas
legs
station.
in it, or what? Slip it on like a diaper?
He just had it like from both sides.
Like a butt bag.
Yeah. And I'm sitting there thinking, I'm questioning the decisions of my life right now.
Right.
And so then he comes back out and he goes, I'll clean it. And I'm like, that's not even a question. Right. I'm like, we're questioning whether or not we're going to still be together after this. Like, well, yes, you won't be cleaning it.
Right.
Yeah. So then he's like all the way home. He's, very, very apologetic. Very, you just never know. And sometimes it just slips and you don't realize. I'm like, you're not helping yourself. And now I don't know if I can trust you or your situation going on.
Must have been degrees.
And then he's like, but don't ever tell anyone. Like, please. And I'm like, I'm not going to tell anybody that my boyfriend pooped in my car. Like, that's not
me as well.
something I'm going to tell people, right?
I think he called me later that night.
Oh, I'm sure he did. I'm sure he did. The funny thing, too, is that the next time we go to La Fiesta, he goes, do you think I should get the chorizo queso? I'm like, do you want us to stay together? Like, no.
Yeah, no, let's hold off on that.
You're like banned from that if we're in my car. Like,
and that was a real dilemma for him. Should I not get it?
I know,
time?
exactly. He actually had to think about it.
He's like,
Is it worth the risk?
Right. This time might be fine.
Yeah. He loved food. So a lot of people already know this story, but Wednesdays was date night, and it was always going to different restaurants to get different food. And he just loved that so much. Mm-hmm. But then it wasn't just Wednesday date night with me. It was lunch with all of you guys. I mean, he loved his lunches with his coworkers. It was the best. And I couldn't believe the distance you guys would travel to some of these places. Like,
we did. We went everywhere. I think my favorite one was when we went down to, what's that? Something Heron on the river.
Oh, yeah, Heron Bay.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
When we went down there, remember we sat at the river and had some drinks.
Yep.
And
he loved the Reubens at 402.
Oh, yeah.
I heard about that all the time.
There,
Now, when Commonwealth was paying, and he was with Danny, who is also, Walt loved Danny.
Mm-hmm.
He forever loved the fact that I think didn't he dress up as like a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle for Halloween? Yeah. So this was like, what is Danny's job title?
Well, now he's the vice president of
Back then,
operations.
what was he, though?
Senior project manager.
Yeah, so he was essentially Walt's boss. And he goes, who couldn't love your boss that comes dressed as a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle for Halloween?
Yep.
Yeah, but whenever Danny would take you guys to lunch, I know a lot of times you went to the Drover, and that was like so special to him.
Yep.
Yeah, we did the Drover a lot.
Yeah.
Yep.
Or Shucks.
Shucks. He loved
was a
Shucks.
good one.
Shucks
Oh,
was
yeah.
another
Shucks
one.
was a good one, too.
Shucks.
We always went there.
Yeah.
Yeah, there really wasn't a place there was places he didn't like.
You know what he would eat for lunch? Like
What?
everybody else would get a normal lunch thing.
Yeah.
He would get the full on dinner ribeye with with all the fixings. I mean, that was his. lunch.
Oh, speaking of ribeye too, that reminds me of one of his favorite places was Texas Roadhouse because he could pick his own steak. Yep. I mean, and he would sit at that counter or whatever it is when you first walk into Texas Roadhouse with the cabinet with all the steaks in it, the cooler. He would be there for like 15 minutes. And I'd have my salad. I'm like, he's still trying to figure out which one he wants. Yeah. And then he always made sure that he'd get A1 steak sauce. He had to have his A1 steak sauce, and he'd tell the server, and if the steak didn't come with the A1, he's just like, should I just bring my own? And I'm like, oh my gosh. He was funny. And he would eat every single morsel of that steak. Everything. He just loved his steaks.
I don't think I was ever out with Walt one time where the food was not all gone.
Yeah. And everyone else's, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That last time we went out with Turner, the amount of food I saw him eat that day, I was like, where is this all go?
Yeah.
Right.
Like, where does this go?
Well, and then I remember we would do the HelloFresh food kit. I was like, okay, because he liked to cook, and it was just easier to do that. I was like, oh, look, and he was so excited. We picked out our meals, and I was like, well, I'll do the 1 for 4, so we both have we can get leftovers for. He'd eat everything. I'd have my small portion, and then he'd eat everything else. Yeah, and I'm like, he's like, maybe we should do the 6. I'm like, no, because you'll just eat more at night.
This is not the point of this.
This is not how many servings. Yeah, he was something else.
He just wanted more.
Yeah.
For him.
Yeah. Because the food was just so delicious. He was just so excited about everything.
Oh, yeah. Food
just
was
such an
definitely a big part of his life.
Excited person. One of the things, too, that I know people would think that he was a huge extrovert. He was always kind of like the life of the party and, just the loud, gregarious guy. But one of the things that I think got lost on a lot of people other than the people like you that knew him really well is that he actually did like solitude sometimes. And that's why I think he loved the hunting and the fishing. Because I'll never forget, we were talking one day and he was like, I think, I know people think I should go to church, but when I go out to, hunt and fish and I'm out there outdoors and everything, that's my element. Like, that's my church. That's when I feel closest to like God and, spirituality. And I think he had this side of him that a lot of people other than like his close friends didn't realize was there too.
Right.
Yeah. That was an interesting part.
Well, and sometimes he wouldn't even want to go with friends. He
That's
would
what I was
tell
about
me
to
in the
say.
job trailer, he'd be like, people want me to go and I don't want to. I want to go by myself.
Yeah.
I just want to be by myself.
Yeah.
I think that's what he was like with fishing too. Sometimes like his merit trip, like that one he would go in the spring. He'd go for 4 nights by himself. Yeah. And I don't think he wanted anybody with him. We'd have our trips, but he had to have his solo, my trip by myself and do it all on his own. So,
and the last fishing trip he ever took before he passed away was the weekend before. He went on his own to South Dakota, to ice fish. And I remember thinking, I felt horrible after he left. I'm like, I should have gone. And then I thought, he's doing what he loves and that's where he wants to be. And I think he needed that time, for whatever reason, I think he needed that time. So, but that one memory I have of that actually ties into another thing I learned about him, after he passed away. Cause on that particular trip, I thought I'd get a bunch of pictures of fish and things like that. But instead he stayed at a small house behind a farmer's barn. He couldn't find it. It was last minute trip. That. Right. Yeah. So he sound, and he was like, I don't even care what it looks like, but it was actually a cute little house. Well, it was by this barn and there were a ton of barn cats and they were all at the door of his, the little house he was staying. And I think I got more pictures of cats than fish or anything, but that reminds me of how after he passed away, I remember a bunch of people were over at my house and maybe some of you guys too. And they're like, oh yeah, one of my cats came out and they're like, oh, there's one of the cats that Walt didn't like. And I remember thinking, excuse me, what do you mean? And they're like, oh yeah, Walt said he didn't like those cats. And I'm like, that's funny you say that because I have like 100 pictures of him holding the cats, like
snuggled up on them.
Yes, exactly. And I'll never forget when he first came over to my house. It was like the very first time he was at my house. And I remember I told my brother, because Walt and I went on our first date. And then in that first date, he told me he didn't like cats. And I had 2. And I was like, I don't know if this is going to work, but we'll see. And I remember telling my brother, like, should I tell him before he comes? And he was like, just see what happens. And I was like, all right. So Walt falls asleep on my couch, like, and it wasn't even like us cuddly. Oh, we fell asleep together. No, Walt sprawled out on my couch, snoring, and I'm like, wonderful date. But my cat jumps up on him, and her name was Angel, and she jumps up on him, and she's like literally right here on his chest, like maybe 6 inches away from his face, and I'm like, oh gosh, we'll see how this goes. And he like wakes up, and then he looks at her, and then he like touches her. And he looks at me and he goes, she's vibrating. I go, Walt, that's purring. Right. He goes, why is she doing that? And I said, well, that means she likes you. And he's like, she likes me? And then just like we talked about, Walt just wanted everyone to like him. And because this cat liked him, he felt chosen. Right. And ever since then, him and that cat were like inseparable.
Best friends.
But he still couldn't admit to his friends.
No.
That he had become a cat man.
He would always,
damn cats.
Yeah. He's like, I'm sitting on the chair, then they come and they jump on me.
Okay. I'm hugging them, but I'm not
you're right. Really. Here's the funny thing too. So there was Angel that would always be with him, but Halo's the other cat, and she very rarely would want to be up there. Like he was too loud for her. Honestly, I think that's what it was. But every once in a while, she'd jump up on his lap, and then if he'd call me in like yelling, and I'm like, what? And he's like, you got to take her off me because I got to go to the bathroom, but I don't want her to think I don't want her. I don't want to hurt her feelings. And I'm like, oh my gosh, just push the cat down.
Right. Right. That's funny.
He was old.
Sure, you know, a lot of us probably never saw his soft side. And that's one thing I knew that he had, but he's not going to share that with us, you know. And I think a lot of that came from you know.
Yeah.
Shared with us in the past, but
yeah, that's what the interesting part is. After someone passes away, is you learn a lot more about them than you knew before, you know. But it's just these stories like that just kind of just make him more of a rounded person and just somebody that we, you know, oh, this is why we all really loved and cared about him, and he made us smile and laugh all the time.
And even when he got in trouble, it was he had a way to just like he would get in trouble, but he'd be like, "Oh, come on!"
I know, right?
Come on, and then he'd be like, "Ah, all right."
You couldn't stay mad at him.
No,
very
you
long.
couldn't.
Like for him and I, we just lock eyes together and be like, "Oh, jeez." Like,
I remember he got yelled at in a meeting with Turner, and like he was like really disappointed because it was they were mad at him.
Yeah.
And he's like, I can't. And he tried to play it off like he was bad. But I could tell that it was more that
it like hurt his feelings.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Like it was personal because they yelled at him and he wanted to be mad at him.
Yeah.
And then he went in and I talked to the guy who yelled at him afterwards after he was gone, and I told him that story, and he was like, I was never mad at him. And like he came in and he talked to me and like I was just giving him shit. He's like, but I was not mad at him, and I was like, well. And we had a little conversation about it, and that's when I realized that, he doesn't like people being mad at him.
No. Yeah, he just wanted everyone to get along. He wanted everyone to be happy, and he was a good guy.
You know, the thing about Walt, too, is the guy just never really had a bad day. You ever notice that? I mean, maybe
even on bad day, like what other people
you never knew if he was having a bad day. You know, his positivity, I mean, to be honest, I mean, I was jealous of it, but I was, what was the word I'm looking for?
Envious.
Even envious. I mean, it was amazing to me. It's like, no matter what the day was, no matter what the situation was, this is what I noticed at work. I could be having a bad day, or he never had a bad day.
Yeah.
He took the best out of the positivity out of every situation. And even in being in service, we used to always laugh. We actually was a joke on the side about Walt because he could be on the worst project ever. And we all, like, we wouldn't want to work at this project. And he'd be down there. And I'm like, how's PSA? And everybody knew it was a shit job to be at. And, it's fine, man. It's great. I got this nice little thing I got going over here. And we're like, there's nothing or nowhere in that building that's nice to be working at.
Right. Yeah.
You know, it's not as bad as you think, kid. It's never as bad. You know, what's the one place on 9th Avenue that,
the steel place?
The steel place. It was one of those places you walk in and everything's dirty because they're cutting and melting steel at all times. No matter what you did, you walked in, you're filthy. It was probably
Sharon Steels, you mean?
If you asked Walt, it was one of the best jobs he'd ever worked at.
Yeah.
Oh, I got it good down here, kid. I go, you do not have it good. I don't care what you say. I've been there so many times. I go, and I hate going there. Yeah. He's like, I'll work here whenever you want. You know, you'd go down there and work with him, and he'd have his own little corner in the building there and making the best out of it. But his positivity was, I mean,
Oh, yeah. I remember even one time at Facebook, something got missed and you had pointed it out on a plan or something. And he was just like, it's not a big deal. And Scoot was like, yeah, that's a little bit of a big deal right there.
That's like the whole center of the building.
That's going to be an issue, And Scoot laughed and he was like, no, it's going to be just fine. Yeah. It's going to be just fine.
Yeah. It was very easy to be around him, and just, with my days being stressful from work, I just remember sometimes when he'd come home, I'd be like, it was good to be able to laugh and to get your mind off of things with Walt.
Yeah, for sure.
Yep. And he was always so busy. I remember, I think one of the things that maybe you even said at his celebration for life was that it seemed like he lived 88 years in the 44 years he was here. Okay. Like he lived double time, He lived life to the fullest. And I'll never forget, there were 3 occasions that he told me that he would pass away when he was young. He knew he'd be young when he'd pass away. And I remember all 3 times being like irritated that I'm like, don't joke about that. And he's like, I'm not joking. I really think I'm going to die young. And now looking back, I'm like, I feel like maybe he knew more, and maybe not even on a conscious level, like subconsciously, I think he knew more. If you guys are up for it, I kind of wanted to talk a little bit about that day, because that day is melded in my head, and you guys were all there, for me and for each other and for Walt. January 26th, 2023. Am I right on that?
Yep.
And I'll never forget, I got a phone call from Scott, and it was at 1:18 p.m. And I knew that I just knew in my heart of hearts when I saw that Scott was calling me that something probably wasn't right, because I just knew, why would he be calling me? And I answered the phone, and he's like, yeah, Mandy, Walt just went down at work, and, I don't know what's happening. And, there's some blood coming out of his mouth, and, you might want to start headed this way. And I said, well, which way? And he's like, well, I don't know yet, but we had to call the ambulance. And, and so Walt had heart problems for the last couple of years, and he had a surgery just a month before that we thought after the surgery, his words, I'm Superman now. Mm-hmm. Like, I'm better than ever, because he's just always so positive. And so I got in my car not knowing what to think. And I thought, gosh, now he's having seizures. Like, I figured he just bit his tongue and he's having seizures. And I'm like, this poor guy, like, one more thing. I feel so bad for him. And then I remember I was on my way to just go to Midlands Hospital, because that would have been the closest to the job site. And then Scott's like, well, they just took off in the ambulance, and you need to get there quick. They're going to Midlands, and we don't know, things aren't good. And then I remember showing up to the hospital, and I will never forget this really beautiful, blue-eyed, long black-haired lady that walked in. And I was like, this is Michelle. This has got to be Michelle, because Walt had talked so much about you, but he kept us separated. And I think that's because he knew that he would get it double time if we had met each other. And you just came up to me and you hugged me tight, and, we all were there together, and, we had no idea what the next 24 hours held for us or for our loved one, Walt. But that's just like, that whole thing is cemented in my brain,
Yeah. Time stands still.
Yeah.
To remember that day.
Yeah.
Completely stand still.
Yeah.
I mean,
literally.
Yeah. Like, Walt being such because I wasn't there, me and Dan and him would always joke around, with just telling you his attitude that morning, that I had called in and tell him, hey, man, I'm not going to be there. And he starts giving me a bunch of crap, like, oh, I thought you didn't miss work. You don't want to call it. And we did that through text, and just how rapid things change, it was like, I go, man, you got to be kidding me. Because Dan actually called me. I think it was Dan called me and told me what had happened that day. And I was like, of all the days, man, I'm sick, and I couldn't believe it.
Yeah. And
then Michelle called me later that night, and then we had broke the news. It was even worse. I was like, man.
Yeah.
It was just, for me, knowing the guy and hearing about it, not being there, man, it's kind of like, man, I wish I was there.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, totally.
So,
I remember that day, one of the hardest things was when you showed up to our job site. You just got out and you're like, what happened? And you looked at me because I was there. Me and Michelle were there with him the whole time. And having to tell him,
it
was pretty hard.
Yeah.
That was like,
knowing how it hit him. Yeah.
And I think the hardest part was we didn't know what was happening.
Yeah.
No.
We didn't know. And so I was on the phone with Dan Cahalan and he kept calling me back and he's like, what's going on? We didn't know what was happening. And so when people would say, what happened? We don't know.
Yeah.
Like, we don't know what happened.
Yeah.
There's no answers. We had no clue. One minute he was fine and the next he was not.
Right. Yeah.
Because we had went to lunch that day and he drove us all.
Yeah.
He drove us to lunch and he drove us back. He was the same happy-go-lucky, laughing, joking. The amount of food he ate was
I mean, it was normal,
insanity.
but it was
but normal.
It was
right.
a lot.
He ate a whole pizza himself, plus appetizers. Plus, I mean, so he was a normal Walt. Nothing was off. Nothing was off. And then we got back and it wasn't so good anymore.
Yeah.
So.
And then they take him to Midlands and then we actually go back and look at him. And the minute I saw him, I knew that things weren't going to be good. And I remember the ER doctor kept saying, he's just really sick, because they didn't even know what was happening. So then I remember we all went into the room together and we just prayed, and they decided they'd take him to the ICU at Bergen Mercy. And that's when everybody just started coming. And I mean, that was just such a showing of love and support. And, all of his family came, and a bunch of, people in and out. And that was a really tough day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That it felt like a tough 2 days.
Yeah.
It was,
those two.
It was just.
Yeah, because I remember we got home late because I drove you, and I dropped you off at your apartment, and I went to my house, and then it seemed like
instantly
2 minutes later, I got a phone call, and we had to go back to the hospital.
Yeah.
Yeah, Mandy and I were just talking about that before this, how it seemed. And I don't know if I slept at all, but it felt like as soon as I laid down, you were calling me.
Yeah.
And we were needing to go back.
Yeah. I remember we had sent everyone home because it was about 10:30 that night. And they said, well, we think he'll make it through the night. And then they did a shift change. And then this other doctor, who I admire so much for her brutal honesty, was just like, here's some of the scans. He's not gonna make it. You need to get everyone back up here. You need to make sure his kids are here, of course. And so then we get everybody up there and just, make the decision to let him slip away. And that was, definitely the hardest thing that I've ever been through. And I just remember driving away from that hospital and just thinking, I have no idea what just happened. You're just completely.
This can't be real.
And I still feel that way.
Yeah.
They don't, and whoever they are, but we aren't prepared for death, And I know, Ralph, you've been through a lot of it in the last year, and, it just, there's no way to just prepare for it. And then the aftermath of it is just so hard because of that emptiness that you have. But that's why we have all done things to keep his memory alive. First and foremost, just being together and keeping his memory alive in our stories. And I mean, all these stories we've talked about here for all of the listeners, we've all told these stories 100 times to each other.
Oh, yeah.
And we all laughed just as much as it was the first time we heard the story.
I think it's the memories that you have,
Yeah.
Just keep on cherishing those,
Yeah. Absolutely.
And not even just with us, when
everybody.
Yeah, you talk to other people on the job sites, and they're oh yeah, I remember when we were working at this job and he did this, and so there's always stories.
And it's the same in the office. People will come in and I have all the pictures of Walt in my office, and I have the trophy.
Yeah. The barbecue
for the barbecue. Yeah. Yep. I have that in my office. And so even Todd Longnecker, our safety director, or project managers, or Danny, people come in and see Walt's picture on the wall, and that sparks stories. People will tell Walt stories.
Yep.
Even on an office level. So
what's interesting, so I just recently sold a truck on Facebook Marketplace, and the guy that came to look at the truck, I looked him up before, he came to me because I was like, got to do a little research on this guy. And I saw that he owned an electrical company. I was like, oh, but he was in Iowa, so I didn't think much of it. And so then he comes to my house and he's like, I think I know you. And I'm like, really? How? And he's like, well, I don't really know you, but I've seen you on Facebook a lot when Walt used to post about you. And I was like, really? And he's like, yeah, Walt trained me when I was in electrical, and so did Scott.
Wow.
And I was like, what a small world. He was like, yeah, I was friends with Walt on Facebook. And I was like, so you got the full Walt experience working with him. And he's like, oh yeah, I did. And he was grinning ear to ear, and he's just laughing. Yeah. And that's what everyone that they say they know Walt, that's the reaction you get.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Which is like,
I probably tell a Walt story once a week at work, just because I'm working with a lot of guys that have been with Commonwealth as long, maybe not as long as I have, but almost as long, within 5 years.
Yeah.
Right? So, and Jared, I'm with Jared. Me and Jared share an office together, and at least once a week we are dying, crying, laughing about a Walt story, and it's like you said, his legacy really never dies. Not around that place.
No. And still to this day, the amount of people that show up from Turner and from Meta to support Walt is huge.
Yeah. Well, then the other huge thing we have that people support, that is the golf scramble. So I remember thinking, like, what should we do? And Walt and I used to always go to the Farkle golf scramble. Farkle was a guy that was also a huge personality, and he was from, I believe, South Omaha, and he had an annual golf scramble that his family put on. And it was always just a whole lot of fun. And Walt and I went every year with two of Walt's friends, Dan and Donna. And I was thinking, God, what about a golf scramble? And I think, of course, Michelle, you were the first one I talked to, and then all of you guys. And I was like, what do you think about doing this? And I know a little bit about golf scrambles because of what I do, on the side, or for my job, actually. And we have a golf scramble associated with that. So I was like, well, let's just try it and see. I was like, maybe we'll get a few teams, right? And it has turned into quite the thing. Yeah. I think we're almost always sold out. If not, we have room for a team or two. The first year we had to like add extra holes or whatever because we had so many teams. And then, we've had scheduling conflicts with Husker games and things like that, but it's still amazing how many people actually show up to it. And the support is amazing. And then the camaraderie, and we try to make it fun. Yeah. It's not competition as much as, some people probably would have a golf scramble. We have holes that have games that make it a lot of fun. Yeah. We have wonderful volunteers. Your whole family comes and volunteers, and, Mike Lloyd and his family, Ryan Kronk and his family. And those two are two huge supporters too. And they're not here today just because they weren't part of the job element. I'm sure they'll be on my podcast at some point. But it's just become this huge thing. And, we try to have every, Waltisms, we have signs that have like some of the things you used to say, and it's just become this really cool thing. So that's one way we keep his memory alive. And I think we're going to be doing our 4th year this year.
Year 4.
Yeah. And then last year we decided to also create a scholarship in his name. Because people want to give to the golf scramble, but we were like, no, this isn't donation. We just want to have fun. But it's like, if people want to give, let's do something that Walt would love, and a scholarship for people going into the trades. And so we've created that, and we've had such huge support from individuals, from corporate sponsors. We have already awarded our first one. There's number 2 pending, but the recipient has to decide what he wants to do with his life. And we have 2 more scholarships that we'll be awarding, and we need applications in by June 1st. But I think that has meant a lot. What's some of the feedback you guys get on the scholarship and the golf tournament?
Nothing but good stuff.
Yeah, they like it.
Yeah, people love it.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously everybody loves golf. Walt loved golf. But yeah, everybody always looks forward to it for sure. People are definitely always asking about it and wanting to know dates and stuff like that.
That's awesome.
I think the scholarship fund is pretty new. Like I said, we just gave our first one out.
Yeah.
A week ago?
Yeah.
Last week?
Yeah, last week.
Yeah.
So I think that's new. I think that hopefully that gets up and running and more people can see it and opens more eyes to it. I don't know how many How many do we have? How many applicants do we have so far?
I think we have like just 3 or 4, but I will tell you what I noticed from last time is people wait. We're procrastinators, right? Human by nature, and
wait till that deadline.
Yeah, they wait till that June 1st. So at the middle of May, we'll start getting more and more trickling in.
Right.
So, but yeah, and I noted like, we posted on Facebook. We have our own Facebook page, for the scholarship, and then we posted that picture of the winner, and it's gotten a ton of feedback. And then all of a sudden we have doubled the followers that we have on the Facebook page just from posting that, because then people are sharing it and stuff like that. I mean, and that's social media is amazing, for that reason. Yep. But it's also like every single time people see it, it's Walt Secord, like his memory is spreading through everywhere. It's just amazing.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. And I think that's the one piece that another thing, Walt's secret that I may not supposed to tell, but so Walt was actually a lot more spiritual than people thought. And I'll never forget this one story he told me that really just always sticks with me, about how when he was about to shoot a deer, and of course he only shot with a bow and arrow, but he said he'd always ask that deer permission. Because he felt like there was a spiritual connection between him and the deer. And this is, part of him being out in the woods alone and all that. Like he made the spiritual connection, and that if his arrow found its way to the deer, then it was giving him permission to take it, which I just think is, a really interesting take and very spiritual. But I have no doubt that he's watching out over all of us. Like, I think as busy as he was here on earth, I think he's busy right now watching over all of us. His kids, his family.
Yeah. I believe that 100%.
Yeah. There's times I feel him. There's times that things happen that I'm like, that's too good to be true. Nope, that's Walt.
Right.
Right. He was amazing. I just still think that he's on a hunting or fishing trip and he'll come back home soon. Right. It just feels like that, and it probably always will. But the other thing is he always told me that he didn't want to grow old and see what he'd look like old, And so I'm like, I know what you did. Like you're passed away young, you're good looking and all that. And now when I die at 90, I'm going to see you and you're going to be like, oh, look at you old lady. I already know that's what our meeting in heaven will be.
You know what I think Walt would have looked like when he was older? Have you ever met his mom's brother, Butch?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. He looked just like Butch and acts very
They acted so much. We honestly thought it was Walt's dad when we first met him. My friends did. Did you guys ever meet Mitch? Scramble?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Because you golfed with him, right?
Yeah.
We golfed with him by default.
Yes. Yeah.
We had someone drop out, and he didn't have a team.
Somebody. And that was a Walt line. Walt lined that up too, I think.
Oh,
what I mean?
I always heard him talk about Butch, and when we first met him, I cried. We laughed all day, and my buddies were dead set that Butch was Walt's dad. And they seen Walt's dad, and they go, "That's not Walt's dad. Butch is Walt's dad. I'm telling you, it's Walt's dad." So, yeah, we told him that, and he acted like Walt, talked like Walt. Yeah. It was so funny.
Yeah.
So funny. Well, thank you guys all for being here. This was beyond special. Yeah.
Absolutely.
And thanks for all your support. I will tell you, this team of people and a few others, like if I call them, they're there. Like no questions asked. I just call and they're there. Like no matter what it is. And then all of the things that we do to support Walt's memory and everything. I mean, always, what can I do? What can I bring? What, can my family come? Like, it's amazing. And it just is a testament to all of you and who you are and who he was. Good people have good people in their lives.
Right.
Yep.
Yeah.
Right.
So,
yep.
Well, thank you. Anything else, anybody?
Bless that boy's soul.
Yeah.
And I know exactly what he's doing right now.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
He's probably laughing at us. Too.
Absolutely right.
Yeah.
Because I know I would.
You all told the things I asked you not to tell. Right? It was just between you and me.
But he's laughing. He's got that giggling.
For sure.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, thank you guys. And thank you to our listeners. Thanks for your support of Grateful by Lady Law, and we'll see you on the next episode. Thanks.
A Huda Media Production.